Hey, Greg, welcome to Viewpoint.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thrilled to have you. Everyone, this is Greg James, and I'll quickly introduce him. Coach, a martial artist, entrepreneur, businessman, singer sometimes, genius athlete, into functional stuff. You'll talk more about it. Partner in other businesses, got a lot on the horizon, always been a go getter. And, hey, then here we are. And tell us, give us something, a couple of words about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. I have been doing like really big into sports since I was pretty young. My mom was actually my first athlete that I've ever seen.
Love
So my
that.
mom was an amateur boxer, so she was the first person I ever saw run, jump, push, hit, or laugh. And I kind of always aspired to be her. At the age of 10, I got really big into martial arts, and that took me to traveling the country, a little bit of the world, fighting and competing. I also trained some kids for the Junior Olympics. And I kind of want a little bit more. As I got older, I wanted to stretch my wings a little bit, and I wasn't fighting as much. So my mindset wasn't teaching people how to fight. And Equinox kind of fell into my lap. So I started coaching there. Loved it. And from there, I by accident started doing group fitness. And I say by accident because everybody knew I was big into martial arts training, so boxing and things like that. And one day, the boxing instructor for one of the classes, box camp, didn't show up. So they had ran up to me and was like, "Hey, Greg, like, can you teach this class?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I could do that." Had no idea what I was doing. People loved it, and that kind of, the accident started my career in fitness, really. And after that, I started emceeing for Tough Mudder because one of the clients that were in class really liked me, so they asked me to audition, and I wound up getting a job. So I've been doing emceeing for Tough Mudder for the last 5, going on 6 years.
For those who don't know, Tough
And
Mudder is brutal.
yeah, so my role for Tough Mudder is kind of my role in life. You're just being like very outgoing and get to know you. So I'm the event MC. So I primarily take care of like getting people like comfortable, like getting them to talk to each other. Sometimes I do motivational speeches for them, and those events go from anywhere from 10 to 50,000 people per weekend, and it kind of goes in rotation. It's like every 10 minutes I see like a new group of like 200 people.
Yeah.
So I have to be like always on and like really like, Greg, as people like to call it. And from there, like I started teaching in like a couple of boutique studios. And finally, to close it out, during the pandemic, I really wanted to help people.
Yeah.
Like people always ask me what my why is. They're like, "Why do you do this?" Or "Why are you so passionate about it?" And I was like, my why is I love connecting with people and helping people. So if that's teaching fitness, if that's motivation, if that's laughing or joking or whatever it is, like that's who I am, and that's what I'm going to do. Um, and I got approached by Zog Sports to then create that as a community, as a concept, as a company, and that gave birth to Combine Z, which I'm currently like project manager of.
Yeah, and I've taken a bunch of classes in full disclosure, which are awesome. But let me go back to a couple of things you said. So the energy, the motivation, the helping people, the giving back, the whole coach, like coaching in life, coaching in business, all of that ties together. I do think, and tell me what you think. Anyone in fitness that really is awesome at what they do, and I would describe you as that, whose energy transcends a room and whose energy can transcend a screen, really loves what they do. And not that you love it every minute of every day, but you got to love what you do. And it comes across to the people that you instruct and teach. So here we are in COVID and you want to help people, but you got to admit, like the live teaching, the instruction, the hands-on training, the people in the room screaming and carrying on together and getting sweat all over each other. Like all of a sudden you don't have that. So what runs through your mind in terms of, obviously, you have the raw tools because you are a go-getter, entrepreneur, and coach. You got to coach yourself now. How do you coach yourself through this, and what was going on in your mind?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and also another good pivot that happened last year where I was trying to like figure that out. And Tabata, I was doing online Tabata all last year, and we got up to 200 people. We actually put together like a charity event that within 4 days we raised $14,000 for a charity. Um, and I kind of I've always been told about that energy. Um, and I didn't even necessarily want to teach. I was like, oh, I'll wait it out. A couple of months, wait it out, wait it out. And friends were just like, Greg, like, can you teach this class? Um, so I kind of had to think about that. And I think my mindset is, I know I'm going to have a good time. And if I can have a good time doing what I love, which is helping people and connecting with people and making like real bona fide like interactions with people, let me figure this camera thing out, right? Like if the camera thing is the only thing hindering me from connecting with people, let me figure this camera thing out. Zoom and all that, and just be myself. And I found that to be very beneficial, not only for the clients, for myself, because I got to escape the house. And I think during that time period, people were just so afraid to leave the house and very like, so like, I want to follow the rules, but they all wanted to connect with people. So using Zoom, I figured, why not create that environment on this screen so people can see each other working out, see me working out, see each other like laughing or going through all those emotions. I always tell people and like my staff, it should feel like a movie. There's an opening scene. It might be an action-packed scene. There's like a crying scene, like a sad scene. There's a funny scene. There's a climax, and then there's space for a sequel. So whenever I coach, I always think about that, like framing it as I would want my favorite movie to be.
That is really awesome. And I think that you just kind of laid out probably sort of the marketing framework for any product, right? I mean, it's a relationship, and you really teed it up. That's amazing. I think people say people have energy, and what I find so interesting, and I love your thoughts on this, is being someone who did class a lot in person, was never myself a believer, and so many people I worked out with, I would never do this at home. I got to be in the room, I got to be sweating, I got to be yelled at or screamed at or coached. And we didn't realize how much of socialization and our connection with people came from our exercise. So, you kind of already touched on that, but sort of, do you think that's just as much a priority for people as the actual workout and performances these days, or it's about the same?
I mean, I feel as though fitness is taking a hard pivot, and also coaching. So back then, like hate saying back then, but like a year ago,
Well, it is back
I yeah, I could be in a studio and I see something, like let's say you're doing a squat. I was like, hey, like let me show you this, and I'm like right there with you. Um, Now I have to be able to articulate myself and do it at the same time. So those that are talented and want to get better are going to get better at that. And I think it's very vital for people to get an extension outside their home. I think fitness is a way to do it.
Yeah.
I think FaceTiming and connecting with people via whatever app it is great, because it takes you out of your mundane day to day, right? Like a lot of times for me, I wake up, I roll out of the bed, and I'm in my office. So like my laptop and things are like right there.
A lot of it.
Yeah, which isn't ideal for me, but like being able to connect somebody that, other than my girlfriend or my dog is great. Like I love these interactions. I love these like touch points where I'm able to really connect with people and necessarily not be face to face with them, but heart to heart. And I think that that's important. And I think that's what fitness has done, is it put back the heart of what like fitness is into the realm of how people teach. And those that are really passionate, that want people to get better, that make these connections and understand these touch points, they'll become successful because they understand that.
Mhm.
Those are just like, oh, like I'm gonna do this, and all right, maybe it's not gonna work. You know, forget it. I'll just wait for the gym. I feel like those people might fall short,
Yeah.
because this is the time where you can really develop these relationships and really get these people to understand who you are. That way, when you guys meet, it's even a bigger situation, you know, like a bigger experience.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that because we're also used to working. I mean, I know you were raised more in the South, but you working in, I got that right? Yeah, you were raised in, like, but working in the New York or a major city, whether you're in LA or New York or Chicago, we are pretty used to walking a block and finding a studio, right? So I think that a lot of we take for granted that option. And even in suburbs, there's still a lot more. I think what's really awesome about the way, like people that would never normally tap into your expertise, that could be all over, and all they need is a good cable connection and a Zoom account, right? And probably have to pay because it goes a little bit more than 40 minutes when you do your singing, but like you can reach so many more people, and I think that's a really cool thing. I wanted to pivot for a second. I love that where you keep using pivot because it's about pandemic pivots, but I always use sports in the boardroom. I grew up a sort like a fun athlete, not like you, with a family of people that were really into sports, and so watching professional sports, playing some sports, it was always amazing to me that the business of sports, right? If you're playing for a team, you have to potentially, of course, work with others. So there's that mindset. And just in terms of even professional sports or semi-professional, your performance is out there for everyone to see every day. And it's such a what have you done for me today mentality, right? It's like you could be a professional football, basketball, soccer player, and you mess up a game or two, your metrics are not cool, and you could get sent down to a farm team, you could be sidelined. I know you have a martial arts like complete training and background, and also your mom as a boxer. Obviously, it inspires you in your day to day and your sports. But how does that impact your business? Do you think that gives you an edge over other people in terms of growing your business? Or tell us about it.
Honestly, I feel as though like my background in sports, I wouldn't say it gives me an edge, but it gives me a mindset. So like my mindset towards doing things is, it's going like I have to embrace the suck, right? Like it's not going to be fun. There might be things I have to like learn that I'm not good at, but I have to be okay with that. And one thing that martial arts teaches you is to understand yourself, right? Like if I throw a punch, if I throw a kick, if I move a certain way, like understand what my body is registering and how I want to get better at it, or how I don't want to feel it again. So I think for me, in particular, is yes, always the worry of like I'm gonna get sent to the benches, but I understand that like, hey, if I'm not good at presenting myself, how can I be better? So I always ask for feedback. I always ask people, hey, how'd you like this? What'd you think of that? Never thinking that I'm at the pinnacle of it or like the apex of it, always thinking that I'm on the bottom. And I think that that humility has taught me how to always go after things and understand it. So like, for instance, my background in martial arts kind of gives way to like how I train. So like, you know, my first personal trainer just had me bench pressing all the time. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So I got really into kettlebells, because kettlebells translated back over to me being, more explosive dynamic when I fight. I kind of wanted to get more out of my workouts. So I started doing weightlifting. So like, Olympic lifting and, strength training, things like that, but more multidimensional versus just a push and pull. And learning all that stuff, I had to learn recovery. So I had to learn how to stretch. I had to learn what muscles were activated. So I think
We have
me having
stretch.
that mark, yeah, there's a stretch. There's a stretch
Sorry,
sometimes.
sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, but I think for me, it's understanding both sides of the spectrum. And I think that has given me, if anything, an edge because I'm okay understanding that I don't know everything and I need to learn it.
Yeah. And you raise a point that I think again is so transformational for every business, every life situation going on in the world right now, which is people that are going to be good leaders or good at what they do have a natural ability to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? You know that, it's a thing called life or work or business. If it were a vacation, it would all be laying on our butts and just drinking, having a cocktail, right? Like there's always ways to get better. And I think another point you raised that a lot of people that are not athletes don't realize and they take for granted is you, even if you are focused on one sport or one type of training, for you to be so great at what you do, you have to think about all the peripheral activities that make you stronger, right? It's not like a static, I'm going to be a runner or a boxer, I'm practice my punches. It's like all the other compensation overall training and functionality, like which I know is a big thing for you, that we need to do in order to get better, right? So talk a little bit of how that relates into the Combine Z and what you're doing there.
Yeah. So Combine Z was birthed through the idea of getting athletes back on the field. So working with the Zog Sports team, we kind of try to figure out like what was the best solution for that. So what we did was work on certain skills that translate to all sports. So like you have body control, whether you're playing soccer, football, baseball, like you have to understand who you are and how to use your body. Everybody loves speed, right? So I want to get from first base to second base. So how do I help develop people's speed? Then we have like agility and turning, because in every sport there's always these hard cuts and understanding like this is a straight run, this is a cut, this is like a pivot, whatever it is. That I know that was the main idea, and that's what Combine Z is. It is taking certain skills from sports and breaking them down so that whether you played that sport or you want to play that sport or you've never played that sport, you all get the same treatment and you get the same tutelage so that you're all in the same playing field. So when you do go back to the field, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like this is why I did this, or like this is why we spent so much time doing lunges, or like I understood like when the coach said something, I had to react. Like it all plays back into going to the field. And I kind of wanted us to really think smartly about how we presented that. And I also wanted us to reinforce it with the why. And I think that a lot of times that when people are doing workouts, they're just working out versus training. So another layer that I wanted to add for Combine Z was training.
Yeah.
And the difference for me, training is it's focused. There's a direction towards it. Whereas a workout, it's like, oh, like I'm gonna do 20 squats, 20 bicep curls, and then some planks, and then I'm gonna call it a day because that's all the time I have. Right? It's not really guided. It's just you moving your body. Whereas training is really focused on a specific goal. But we understand that like we have to be in love with the process more than we are in love with the results, because that's where everything is going to, really shine.
Yeah, the journey. And you talked about having fun too, which, it's wild that so many people you talk to that don't have fitness as part of their, day-to-day life, and they can't understand until they do it for a few months. I mean, and believe it or not, there are people out there that just don't. I have friends I've talked to that finally got into fitness and colleagues over the pandemic, which is the great thing that came out of it. I also think it gives you a confidence, and the way I would describe sort of your mentality on this as a receiver of it is you're very humble, but at the same time, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? Like you're confident that whatever is put in front of you for your business, growing it, whatever obstacle they're going to put out there, if Zoom moved to half an hour, you'd find a way to get the training that you need to in a half hour. What would you say to people that don't realize how important fitness is to every aspect of their life, coming from someone who lives it?
I mean, I think I would say it's a good mindset builder, or it's great for your mentality. I mean, um, putting yourself in tight situations, just like, oh man, like my legs really hurt. Like also transpires to when you're outside and like, it's really cold, you got to walk the dog. It's like, oh, I really don't want to do this. But you understand that it's beneficial because it's helping you and somebody else out. So I always kind of relate fitness back to life, right? Like those people that have newborns that want to play with their newborn, but they have back problems. It's like, well, you got to take care of this newborn, but you got to take care of yourself. So practicing this move, stretching this area, reinforcing this pattern is going to help you in life to translate over to helping your child or helping yourself. And I think that sometimes is lost. Right? And I feel, I always tell coaches, my staff, about like lazy programming. Like it's very easy to program 100 burpees in a workout. Why? Because you understand it is hard. You understand that people are going to struggle. Doesn't matter what level they are. But how are you building them up to that? Like, what dimensions of that burpee are you taking out of that? Whether it's, breaking up each part, the push up, the squat, the shoulder stability, the mobility in your hip, flexion, extension, like all those things. How are you breaking that up to strengthen that? So when you do give them the 100, they don't feel defeated. I'm a big practitioner. I was like, I want you guys to win. You guys and ladies are all taking your time out to spend with me, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. I value that. So I'm going to give you a high value Greg. And another thing I always tell my coaches is just like, it doesn't matter if people pay $5, $10, or $15. You need to be the $1 million version of yourself.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't understand what that is, you got to think about that. Whatever that means to you, you need to give to your clients, because that's going to take that person that's unmotivated to be motivated and get off the couch, or like think about their child, think about their loved ones. Like, as we're getting older, like our parents are getting older. So it's like, I want to be strong enough. If my mom needs me to pick her up, I can pick her up. Like if I need to run to the store because something happened, I can functionally run to the store to make that happen. So to sum up what I was saying before, is like, for someone that is feeling a little intimidated by it,
Yeah.
think about your life. Like, what in your life do you want to get better at? Is it walking down the street? Is it engaging with your friends? Is it not having back problems when you sit and have these meetings? Like, what is it in your life that you're having a hard time with? And use fitness to help you out with that.
You're making fitness a relationship with yourself and a relationship with people. And it's not just like a transaction. Like, let's go just bang out these 100 burpees, which I know you've been known to put in class. As you grow your business, this whole relationship, this framing, this teeing people up to be successful, I think that people don't fully understand, because they look at some fitness and they think, oh, they put a playlist together and they shout out a number, and that's not that much involved in leading a fitness business. Again, it's your love, it's your passion, it's your give back, but it's a business and you have a quality control, right? It's your brand. You are a performer and a top performer in your sports, and a winner, whatever that means for you. And when you're putting a product out for people, you set that whole platform up for them too. It's not one size fits all, but you set it up so different people of different levels can do it and measure progress. So why is it that, or what extra things and why did you have to do over Zoom, or was it easier over Zoom for you to get all different people of different levels?
I think it was hard. And I go back to the point that I made before about the articulation.
Yeah.
I'm very good at doing things, but sometimes I'm hard pressed to explain them. So like, let's say it's a squat. All right, you're just gonna do this, right? And someone's like, well, my knee hurts. This is not working. So Zoom has forced me to not only perfect doing the move, but how I want to articulate it. The advice I would give is give 3 steps, like 3 things. People can't process 5 to 10 things. If it's 3 things, 2 to 3 things, they can really think about it, right? Like let's say like a squat. Hey, like keep your chest up. Make sure you put all the weight in your heels, bend your knees, right? Like those are just 3 things they could think about. Like, I've taken a lot of time and thought into thinking about the program that I want to give people, making it scalable for the middle, like the midline. So like the person that's kind of in fitness but not really in fitness, they're like in a sweet spot, but allowing people that are like a little bit more advanced to level it up, or people that are not advanced
Yeah.
to feel like they're not defeated. And I think that's a big key to my classes, is that like I will always give you modifications, and if you ask me to do it, give you a modification, I will. And I want to make fitness like an ecosystem in an open environment where everybody can learn from each other. I don't think it's necessarily like a one fit all, like
Mhm.
you said, because there's some people that maybe they had knee surgery, maybe they had back surgery, right? Like we don't want those people to feel like they can't be a part of this ecosystem because they have little limitations.
Yeah.
We want them to feel more included, and we want them to enjoy themselves, and we want them to have that win. And I use win very loosely because I feel as though a lot of people's like, oh man, like my win is that I finished the workout. That's possible, but a win could be anything. Hey, you know what? I did a push up today. That was great.
Yeah.
Or I sat lower in my squat. That was amazing. Or I kept up in the warm up. Like those are wins. And like it, I think we also get fixated on these big, like, Super Bowl championship wins versus these small victories that are going to lead you to that Super Bowl, whatever championship that is for yourself.
To win it, you got to be in it. I'm quoting like, an 80-year-old day. If you don't participate, then you're not going to reap any rewards. So I think it's a really important point. And I'll share with you, I've heard lately of some companies that I've worked with, some even mid to larger size companies, that their executives are potentially being pushed aside for future leadership, C-suite, one level under, if those people are not at least taking their physical fitness seriously, because it becomes a health risk, which becomes a business risk to the company. So as we move forward in the future, I think there is going to be a lot more business reasons why, and we talk about balance and lifestyle, but a big issue is people's health and insurance companies making coverage. I mean, you recover from surgery potentially so much quicker when you are physically fit. Tell me what quick goals for 2021 for you and your business.
A big goal, I think, for any fitness brand is to break even. So we're looking
So
to
true.
figure out, yeah, we're looking to figure out some really good ideas. Corporate wellness is one of those.
Mhm.
Like I'm glad that you brought that up because
I
that's something
forgot
that we're
about
really
that.
keen. Yeah, we're actually keying in on corporate wellness.
Mhm.
We did a class last week for PwC, and then we have Ad Monster and 2 other companies that we're working on. And then also too, we're working on really bettering our brand. So we spend, I would say every week having conversations. It's like, hey, how do we feel about our brand? Like, what can we add? What can we subtract? And I think that like you said, like that humility, and also me understanding like it's the process, right? So like, I don't think that we have the best brand, but I know we will, which is a big difference. And I think that having that mindset is going to allow for everything to come in, whether someone quits, someone gets promoted, or we get a new location, we lose a location. It's like, it's all part of the process. It's part of the journey. Like You have to understand that. And I also think back to like a quote that I heard one of my martial arts instructors is hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle, but when talent does hustle, a star is born. And because we don't have a big budget, like we're just hard workers, we're looking to beat the big box gyms that have a bigger budget because we just want to pay attention to the details and pay attention to the process and enjoy the journey. So like our big goal right now is one, break even, and two, corporate, like really leaning in on corporate wellness.
I think it's so incredibly important, not just for the wellness part, but for the mental wellness part, because so much of business politics and so much of getting in a room and collaborating with people, you learn, even if you say you didn't grow up in a family. I have brothers, and you grew up in a family of athletes, and you have your sister and your mom. From a even diversity perspective, I mean, your role model, is a woman in sports, which is phenomenal. So we had the benefit of being raised that way, even different years apart. But a lot of people don't. And, sometimes we're a function of some of our experiences, even at an adult age when we're in the workplace. So to be able to bring this into it, I think there's a huge connection to revenue and development for companies, especially now that office space is changing, the paradigm of business models are changing. And the one thing that could bring people together is a focus on training and health and physical fitness, because there's no socialization if you're not in an office together. I got to ask you my fast five, and then I'm going to let you go. And then you definitely have to come back. And just for anybody watching or listening, I'll put all of Greg's information on a slide at the end of the video, where you can Insta the handles and also the website to sign up for class. I urge you to sign up for a class. Okay, so my fast five. Your favorite phrase? It could be for now. You could adjust it next time we meet.
Right now, it's we're out here doing fitness. That's actually my favorite phrase to say.
I like that. I've heard you say it. Your most dreaded exercise, personally, the one like when we go burpees. What's yours?
Dreaded would have to be using a barbell and doing overhead squats. Like I hate doing those, like with a passion, especially because I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
So.
You got a little bit more of a lever there, huh?
Yeah.
Your most hated, annoying phrase that anyone might use, including yourself.
Wow. I don't really have a hated phrase.
No.
I try to be really positive, positive.
We'll give you that. I know you're positive. I had to ask that. You say the corporate wellness is probably one of the most ambitious goals for you guys in 2021? All right.
Yes.
So you answered that one. And then last one, your dream client or somebody today, you can change it, that if they showed up in class, you would be like, Mom, oh my God. Or Jess, oh my God.
So I will say I am a huge fan of Keanu Reeves. So a little like known fact, I did some stunt work a couple years back.
Oh, cool.
So I was in Fast and Furious 8, and there was a Netflix series I was in. And because of that, I started doing like other like auditions for stunts. And I got to meet Keanu Reeves and like in a scene. So like basically it was like, hey Greg, like we want you to imagine that Keanu's walking by and you're making eye contact as he walks. And I was like, okay. So I just took a couple of takes. And then they're like, hey, you know what? Hold on. And they got him and they pulled him out. And he was like, hey, Keanu, can you just sit in on this audition? And he walked by and I was like, like I was just stuck. So I think if Keanu Reeves walked into my class, and especially because he's like the nicest person in the world, I probably would lose it.
we got to work on that. Maybe we tag him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Greg, this has been awesome. Greg James, we'll put all your information at the end. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for keeping us engaged and keeping us trying to be our best self.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. And I think you did like a phenomenal job with all your questions and the engagement. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome, Greg. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Yes. All right. Bye.